Hi, you guys. Oh, thanks for waiting patiently. And we are still waiting for Keith, but he should be there any minute. Oh, yep, I see him coming on. So I just wanted to go through. There he is. Okay, so we're going to start by showcasing. All right, Stephen, thank you. First, thank you guys for everything you do. Never would have attempted this without you. 3 years so far to purchase land, design, approval, and receive building permits. 4-bedroom plus an ADU in Victorville. And I like how Brady brought this up. Said 3 years and only got permits? Man, Callie's crazy with permitting. Here in Wyoming, it takes 2 weeks. Steven's like, wow. It just goes to show that so many different things going on in different places, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yep. Here's the next one. KJ Builds. This is definitely quite the undertaking. It's very scary to get started. I'm still trying to figure out how much this will all cost. Yeah, that's one of the major things we hear from people is the cost. And so that's why in the First Steps course, Keith has that formula to try to give you a little bit of an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the First Steps course is really going to help you, especially module number 3. Okay.
Here's another.
Sorry I'm late, everybody. I love to work. I'm a YouTuber who's kind of a technician. I don't know if you've ever heard of the cash flow quadrant. And it's, I think Kawasaki, I can't remember who came up with it. But there's a technician, and then I can't remember what the laborer, technician, owner, and then, owner, entrepreneur, and then there's the investor. Well, the technician phase is where you have a skill set and you know how to do the skill set, and you get intoxicated by just getting stuck on doing that labor. And I know subcontractors in their 50s and 60s and even in the late 60s who are still laborers because they don't trust anyone else to do it. So I kind of get stuck in that every once in a while because I want to do it and I want to do it right. And so I've been pulling out of that and trying to, my wife knows the whole story. So she told me never to get on a roof again, and I haven't done that. I kept the promise, so I don't get on roofs anymore. But we have weather coming, and we just sheeted a floor on a job, and we're putting some decking material, priming decking material on there to protect that. And I just did a post on it. You'll see it come up later on. But I did my first ever recessed shower in a subfloor that's wood. It took a lot of planning and working with a truss company. It came out looking just perfect, 2 inches recessed, just the way I wanted it. So I'm really excited about that. It's not easy to do, but when you plan it just right, it comes out just awesome. So we're gonna have a lot of posts on that whole build. So I'm excited about that. I don't know where we are. Any questions we have here?
Right here. Yep.
Oh, Stephen, looking for advice on bidding. My daughter will chime in on this one. I've downloaded the bidding section in the self-managed courses. The problem is I don't have the time I used to and thought I would. Only option to find trades is online. Here's something to do. My daughter will kind of vouch for this as well. We created that whole specifications for bidding a file. Go through that, take some time, just one evening, and make sure you have all the specifications you want in addition to all the ones we kind of suggested. If you don't like any of those, take them out, add what you want, make sure it's just right the way you want it. And then when you send it out, you can send out a blast email to a whole bunch of subs. And you can just BCC them, blind carbon copy. So that way you don't have to do one email after another email and responding to individual emails. When they respond, you know they're responding to that large email. And you can do it, and you can break it up into 3 emails. Say one for rough, excavation, concrete, framing, some big stuff. Then you can do mechanical, and then you can do some finish. You can do it that way if you want, but don't try to hand peck it every single sub. Here's this, here's that. And you can send it to several different subcontractors. So 2 or 3 different framers, 2 or 3 different concrete people, and just BC all of them, blind carbon copy all of them. So they don't need to see, hey guys, this is Joe's Builders, and here's what we want bid.
I think the second part of his question too is finding subs. That is the hardest part, finding subs for people who aren't builders. And I've said this a couple times. My two favorite things that I recommend to owner builders to find subs is join their local home builders association and network.
Mhm.
And then the second one is, if you have any jobs that are going on around you, go stop by the job site and talk to the framers that are there, or talk to whoever's working. Just talk directly to them and say, hey, can I have your card? Or that's another easy way to find, because you can literally look at their work. You can go through homes. Here in Southern Utah, I know multiple people are walking through our projects every day. And so it's not unusual to go walk another job site and check out other trades and how they're performing. So that's another little key that I would do.
Yeah, don't be afraid to talk with people. And here's something that you consider. I ran into a gentleman who was an excavator, and I go, hey, do you know any subs for pools? He goes, I'll tell you what, I'll give you the best list for all the pools, all the pool subcontractors to build a pool. It's just $500. I go, that's all. And he was offering to give his best. And that means from excavation, which would be himself, plumbing, shotcrete, rebar, finish coat, stonework, plumbing install, electrical, the whole 9 yards. And there's like 7 different subcontractors to install a pool. Most people don't know this. Most pool installers or pool manufacturers, people who build pools, they sub it all out. They don't handle all that in-house. And so, especially in larger metropolitan areas and more distant areas, they've got to learn how to do it all in-house. And sometimes you can go up to a builder and say, tell you what, I'll give you how's $500? You give me a list of your best subs. And I need 15. Here's the 15 I need. Would you want to do that? It might something to consider. So that actually came in handy for me. I actually handed it off to a landscaper, and he said thank you, because he was getting involved in installing pools, and he took that and ran. So something to think about. Any other questions here?
Okay. Let's see.
Michael, can you talk about conditional waivers, how they work, and when to press for them before payments, etc.? I've never really worked with conditional waivers.
I got this, Dad, because I spend a lot of time doing this. Okay.
There you go.
So you have a conditional waiver and an unconditional waiver. And then you also have a conditional waiver for progress payments. And then you have a conditional waiver for final payments. And you have an unconditional for progress and an unconditional for final. I like to use the conditional waiver. So a progress waiver. I use the Utah conditional progress waiver. And I send that to some jobs. It's a requirement by the lender. So this is a really good thing to know because each bank is different. But I like the conditional progress waiver the best because they can sign that waiver anytime, before or after they get the check. But once they cash the check, that what's the word I'm looking for? Gets rid of their rights to lien the property. But an unconditional waiver, most subs don't want to sign that because they'll only sign that unless they have a check in their hand. And
right.
Because once they sign it, they've waived their rights to lien a property, even if they haven't cashed a check. So I would definitely use a conditional waiver. And the best time to do it is right when they send you their invoice. That's how I do it. As soon as a sub sends me their invoice, I send them a reply email, say, hey, can you sign this conditional waiver for me? And I can process your payment. And that lets them know, oh, I have to sign this. Otherwise, I'm not going to get paid. So it's a good thing. That's how I like to do it. And, yeah, I don't have any other comments, but that is a great question.
That's really, yeah, we haven't had that one.
And if you're confused on how to get or draft a conditional waiver or even an unconditional waiver, look to either a local attorney or your states. If they're really sophisticated, they'll have a form, a standard form. And it's not authorized by the state. It's just a suggestion they offer. Like in the real estate, they have what's called a REPC, and all of those are designed by the state. Well, some of these other states, most of them have a sample that you can use. And if you don't have one or can't find one in your state, type in, I need a conditional waiver for construction residential, give as many details as you want, plug it into an AI, you'd be surprised. I created articles of incorporation for a nonprofit last night using an AI. So don't be afraid to use that, and tell the AI to try to keep it in one page. A lot of subcontractors get really weary about multiple pages. Try to have the typeset and the layout and everything so it's all in one page. It makes it easy for them. They don't freak out. Okay, good question. Terry Strobel, where's the proper place to bring the main water? Oh, the best. Oh, I have two questions. And I think, Terry, you emailed that one to me. And I think it's right here. Yep, I got it right here. I remember you. So where's the best place to bring in the main water into the house with a crawl space? Not under any slab concrete. If you can avoid a driveway, that's the best thing to do. And then as close to your mechanical room as possible. So if you have a long rectangular home like that, okay, and you have a mechanical room over here, you don't want to bring water here if you can avoid it. Bring it right underneath there and come right under the mechanical room. A couple of reasons why. Even if the water meter is way over here, you want to come underground, stay below your frost depth, wherever that is, and come right as close to where the mechanical room is. That way you avoid the possibility of freezing that pipe under a long length below the subfloor. You want to keep it in dirt as much as you possibly can. That's the real best secret, because when you come up under that crawl space, there's going to be a little bit of it exposed before you get into the conditioned space of the home. So that's the best way to think. Keep it in dirt as long as you can and punch it through the home as close to where that mechanical is. And that way you avoid the possibility of freezing. Okay. Good question. Brady Morgan, curious, remind me everyone, I have another question from another student that came in an email. Okay. Curious what you think of steel framing. Looked into into recently, 1,200 square feet costs about $30K for full framing package. Got to deal with the thermal bridging, but can do exterior insulation to solve that. You can do the exterior insulation, and it does solve for the high possibility of a level 5 drywall because it's so flat and so smooth. It's just noisier than heck to cut, and you have to wear earplugs, and it's not fun. The other thing is it creates a little bit of complexity for the electricians because they have to put grommets in all the holes that are punch out because they can't pull that wire straight through there because it can cut it gnar at the Romex and create a break, which would be a short in your wire system. So it creates a little bit of complexity for the electrician. I don't know about the shear strength. I know it does have the same, or if not better, compression strength as regular studs. But again, you've got that conductivity. You've got that wicking of cold from the outside directly. Because even if you have an inch of insulation on the outside, let's say it's polyiso with R6, okay? That's not much insulation, R value. Before you get to that metal, once it hits that metal, it's going to immediately conduct right inside that home. And then what do you have? Insulation in there, and then you've got drywall. That's it. So it does have a high conductivity of heat and cold, even with insulation on the outside. So that's why I haven't gone with that. Wood has a slower transfer of heat and cold than metal does. And so that's why I stick with stick framing. Good question, though. Michael, can you talk about lighting a great room? Our architect just dropped 20 cans in the ceiling. I feel we can do better. It depends on how big those cans are. Are they 6-inch, 8-inch, 9-inch? How big are those can lights, first of all? Second of all, I'm not a big fan of the traditional old clunky bulk housing for can lights. I know that people like them recessed, but that's the problem with can lights. When they're recessed, they do take the light and put it specifically where you want, but then you lose peripheral lighting on your home, which is why I like something more flush mount, with the exception of some artistic design in lighting. If I go with a simple flush mount, I disperse that lighting quicker, faster over a broader area, and that way I get the lighting I want in the home. If you don't have any windows, if you don't have any natural light coming in, yeah, it could pose a problem. So I don't know if that's the case. But you've got, I don't know what your square footage is. 20 cans is a lot. That's a lot for a great room. And that could be like 20 by 14 great room. I don't know. I don't know how big it is. But
yeah, because how large is your great room, Dad? How large is your great room? It's like 20 by 20, right?
I don't know. Yeah, something like that.
And you only have you probably have like 10 can lights in your great room.
Not that many. 20 cans is a lot. The other problem you're going to face is that once you get too many cans, that increases the load on the circuit. So now it's going to have to be a 12-2 wire rather than a 14-2 wire, which means a 20 amp circuit. And sometimes they just can't have that many. And I don't know if it's LED cans or regular 60 watt bulbs. So I don't know. So there's a lot of factors there to think, but hope we covered a couple of questions to consider. Okay.
All right, this is back to the waiver.
Oh,
that's for Kinsey.
Do I send them the waiver or should they already have the waiver? What about if they have subs? You should send the waiver. Subs are not good about keeping a waiver in their file and sending with an invoice. I always have to send it back to them after they send me their invoice. But sometimes at the beginning of a project, once if I approve their estimate, I tell them the requirement, like, hey, I need this attached waiver signed, filled out and signed and submitted with each invoice. And sometimes they'll be good about sending a waiver with their invoice, but that's a 50-50. And then the other 50%, I'm usually sending it back to them saying, hey, I need this waiver filled out. What about if they have subs? Yeah, I haven't had a lender yet that asks for my subs waivers. That's not something I collect. I don't think. That's a good question.
Could be supply houses.
Yeah, but that's a good question.
Because concrete framing guys, like I said, they order concrete. Well, you can have them sign a waiver for their side of it, but if they didn't pay the concrete, then you didn't get a waiver for the mixing plant. So a lot of times there's big operating, big framing type, structural guys that are doing stuff. That's where you need to watch out because supply houses can get hit.
And you can request for that. You can. That's not, you just add that to your but that's not something I do. I haven't had that problem before, but you can just add it like, can you please supply your subcontractor waivers as well? So.
Okay. Yeah, good question.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Stuff, build, business, backcountry. I like that. 3 B's of business, 3 B's of life. You two are the best. Who normally provides the pipe for data? I heard that some internet providers will drop it off and I can install it. That's a really good question. We have it kind of lucky in our Southwest Utah. One company does it all, except for where I particularly build in the mountains. All you have to do is call them, trench it. They'll drop it in for free and it's done. But most areas are not like that. We're just sophisticated because our builder association kind of negotiated that. It was a nice thing to have us just have it done. But most of the time you call your cable company, whichever one. I don't know which one. There's several. Sometimes there's several. And if you trench it, they'll put it in there. If not, you trench it, you put it in there. But make sure you take it to the pedestal. So there's typically a small, skinny pedestal. It's not high voltage, it's low voltage. And you bring it up right into that pedestal. And then you take it right to the home, into your mechanical room where your low voltage is going to be. And then they can fish. And sometimes you'll need mule tape in there. If you don't have mule tape, they won't pull anything through. Most of them are pretty sophisticated with their tapes. They can fish the tape in there, avoid a lot of bends, that kind of thing. And then they can pull their cable through later on. There's some products you can take off the shelf. They've got their low volt wire already in there, and that's a possibility. I don't like that necessarily. I like to be able to have a clean pipe, inch, maybe 3/4, with some mule tape in there, and then they can pull it through. And mule tape is just a strong Teflon looking tape, and it's going to pull and take on a lot of torque when you're pulling a lot of heavy wire through that. So good question. Zitang, why most home builders on YouTube promote zip sheeting? That's why. If they're a big builder and they have a big channel, they're getting promotions on the side for that. That's, to be honest with you. And I'm telling you, you don't need it. The only place I would put zip sheeting is on a roof. If you have inclement weather, it's so bad that you need to have it dried in the minute it's framed in, and they just put that zip sheeting on there. It's wonderful for that particular reason. But other than that, you don't need it. And you know what I've talked about, having a home breathe a little better. It saves its life over a long period of time, and you avoid the issue of cold condensing surfaces, which does a number on a home. But to be honest with you, I'm not big enough yet. I'm about 41,000 subscribers. You know, when I get to 75 to 100, I've already had some phone calls with people that want to do some promotion on it. And we're very particular about that. But I couldn't promote something that is a greater cost that doesn't need to be a greater cost on the build of a home, unless you absolutely need it for a particular weather issue you're facing. So that's why. Good question.
Okay, that's it for now.
Okay.
Oh, do your question, your other paper email question.
All right. So this one here is these are from students that just could not be here. It's good to see Terry here. But this one's from Andrea. I watched your live Q&A where I could send a question to be answered. My company has a GC qualifier. I'm also in the process of taking the exam myself. Great. The question is, what course do you recommend me starting with for your courses? I see there is one for 14. That's an old price point. 14 grand. Oh, that's the consulting. But that is not in my budget at this time. So the best place to start is really, if you purchase the self-managed course, it includes the First Steps course for free. And all that is very affordable. And then start with the First Steps course and don't go any further until you do module 3 at least 2 or 3 times. And it will really hone you in on the cost per square foot in your particular market. And then it tells you what you can afford in your market. And if you do that very, very religiously and you really hone in on that, it's going to really point you in the right direction. And then the self-managed course has everything you need. Subcontractor agreements, budgets, 52 checklists and growing. And they're all video instruction and they're all downloadable checklists. And a ton of downloadable items that are not checklists. They're just things you download, things you need. I have a flow chart. I have all kinds of stuff that help you along the way. Oh, what comes next? Look at the flow chart. Oh, that comes next for a walkout basement. Or that comes out next for a stem wall. So it's very detailed and we're always improving it. So that's what I would suggest. And take your time, study, watch the videos, be informed of stuff, and then start to gather subcontractors. Like these here are business cards I gathered just in the past 2 weeks. People dropping off business cards at job sites. And you gather them and you get to know them and you ask people around, network. And it wouldn't be bad to join a local builder association. I have a group of women that created a builder association for owner builders in Idaho because the builder association wouldn't take them on because they weren't licensed GCs. So they just went and created their own. And pretty. So you can do.
I think we need to go
visit them. We need to go visit them. So there's a lot of things you can do, and don't be afraid to network. That's going to pay off immensely. In fact, just go hang out at a network, any kind of business network, and say, hey, I'm Joe Builder. We just moved into town. We just have been building for a long time. We got another spec home. Don't call it an owner builder home. We've got a spec home going up. We're looking for subs here in the area. So feel free to reach out. Just call yourself a builder. Just get rid of the owner. Just say you're a builder. Don't say owner builder. Just say I'm a builder. Get that owner builder mentality out of your head and just call yourself a builder. I told this story about 2 years ago. I had a good friend. At the time, he was a good friend. Turned out to be a bad business partner. Sometimes they're good friends and terrible business partners. But he told me this interesting story, and I've run into this many times. He was in a shop where they sold cameras, and he got to know cameras and studied cameras. Wasn't a photographer. He just knew cameras, and he sold cameras. Somebody came in and said, hey, I need a real professional camera guy to take some pictures of a wedding. It's a short notice. Can anyone do it? He immediately raised his hand and said yes. Never did any photography in his life. All right, ever. Took the job, did a pretty good job because he knew cameras enough to make it work. Then after that, he started his own photography business and supplied his family's income with that for over a decade. So the same thing here is my acting coach told me, yes, I can perform Hamlet, even though I only had 2 or 3 soliloquies memorized. Just say, yes, I performed Hamlet on stage. I knew enough of Hamlet to say, yes, I can perform Hamlet. It's the same thing here. You are a builder. Say you're a builder. Don't be shy about it. Just get rid of the owner, and you'll carry yourself, and you'll get more people attracted to you. And just call yourself and get a fake email. Just say Mary Jo's Construction LLC at gmail.com. I don't care. Just call yourself a builder. Carry yourself high and confident, and watch how that will attract people to you. And just say you're doing a spec home. Never say it's your own home. Just stay away from that. Okay? That's the best advice I can give you. Okay? Retrainer. Hey, I've seen that name for a while. Bringing in a tiny home on wheels next to my house built in a rural area. Underground power pad. Do I put a perm electric power pole there and run to each location? That way I don't have to run to the house first. A permanent power pole would be more beneficial than a temp one, because the electrician will charge you anywhere from $300 to $700 just for a temp power pole. And that's labor and money going into something that's not permanent. Okay. On this home I'm sitting in right now, I never did temp power. I brought permanent power right up to the outside of the concrete. When it was poured, I finally brought permanent power and attached it when framing was about a week or a week and a half in. So the framers had to have their own little engine to produce power just for a short amount of time. But I saved myself like $350. It's minor, but these things add up. And if you are scheduling yourself just right, you can do that. Underground power pad. Do I put a firm power electrical pole there to run to each location? That way I don't have to run to the house first. You can do that. But talk with a power company, because they're very particular as to where that pole is going to go. And is the power to the pole looped overhead, or is it also underground? Okay, just something to think about. I could talk forever on power, but talk with your utility company. They're going to give you the best advice on that. Okay. Okay. These stuff, build business backcountry. I like that. I like alliteration. That's what alliteration is. Words that begin with the same letter. That's what alliteration is. It's my English background speaking. Our framers are starting. Do you have a rule of thumb for how long it should take per square foot? No. But if it's like 2,500 square feet and it's a patio home, one level with maybe an upstairs, that first level is going to go fast if it's a slab on grade. If it's not a slab on grade and it's trusses, floor trusses, then it's going to be another 2-3 days. And then the second floor could be another couple of days. But I'm talking about a 1,500 square, 2,200 square foot home, single level, kind of like your Rambler type design home. Once your roof starts to get cut up and it's a bigger home, high ceilings, vaulted area, this kind of, then it starts to get complicated. More complicated, the longer it's going to take to frame. Like my daughter and I are doing a home for a client right now. It's about 6,500 square feet, something like that. And the framers had to come and do the whole basement and floor system before we could continue, because the concrete is going to meet right up against a framed floor and it has to be perfect. So that means the framers had to come, stop the concrete, framers come do their thing. Now concrete's going to come and finish their pad structure, and then framers are going to come back. So that's really burdensome on the framer, because they got to come and go, start and go, stop and start and stop. Again, complex builds are going to be a little more costly on cost per square foot. It's just going to be that case.
And
We should do
another
it. We should
too,
design it.
another thing too is it depends how big their crew is. So
Right.
if he only has 2 guys, it's going to take him a lot longer than a 6-person crew. So
Yep, that's the number one question you should ask a framer. A good framer, and we've got some, right, Kins?
yeah.
Good framer. I just came from a job just now, and he had 9 guys on the crew. 9 guys. And they can punch things out real quick, and they do a great job. And they can, in fact, they were so helpful that they say, hey, Keith, don't worry about that. We'll cover the rest of this for you. So I got a decking material on my fingers right now. So they took it away from me, and they're doing it now. They're handling all that. We want to protect the floor because we framed it, and you want to protect it because you want to protect it. So we'll just do it for you. Get out of here. So, and that's a great crew. All right, they don't charge me anything more for that. They're going to get more work from me. Good question. Peyton. Keith, in the self-managed package, what did you say about putting a sign on the parcel? New build subs email. Yeah. You want to put your phone number and your email. Send bid requests here. And it's a great way to open up yourself. But make sure on that sign you have a name that says builder in it, not owner builder, builder. Mary's building, Mary and Joe's building, Kent's building, High Tree building. Come up with a name and call it that, okay? And then say bid requests, send here, phone number, contact there. And of course, permit number, address, and all the things the local permitting office is going to require from you. But yeah, it's all in there. I have that sample. It's in the self-managed package. I think it's in the it's in a video called Tools Required. And I go through the whole tools, and I even show a sample sign and all that. So it's in there. Brady, I would like to start a builders association in my area. As far as I can tell, there isn't one anywhere near me in Western Washington, Wyoming. Would love to know more about that. Okay, now this you're up my alley. Okay, if you want to start a networking organization, go to localcommonwealth.com. Just check out the site. Reach out to me. I'll give you all the models you could ever imagine. And if you do it right, it will be the best networking organization you've ever created or anyone's ever seen. It's I have 2 networking groups here in my neck of the woods in St. George that I'm helping to run. And we have such a great intimacy, the way it's done. We don't have a lecture hour during a luncheon. We don't have, everyone gets to know each other. You pitch each other's business. It's quite phenomenal. Watch the video. I can give you all the templates and everything. It'd be very simple to open up a nonprofit and say, hey, and we're going to create a network organization. And when you do it right, it grows and it becomes very, very powerful. Don't do what everyone else does and make it a for-profit situation where people don't network, people don't pass referrals, people don't get to know each other. It's just a glory time for somebody on stage every week. Stay away from that. I'll say no more. Go to localcommonwealth.com. You can also go to DixieBusinessNetwork.com and check out the one that I've created in my local area. It's very effective, very powerful. So yes, do it. Do it. Okay. ZT Zhang Yang, truck or cargo van? Truck is cool, but not nearly as practical. I wouldn't say a van's very practical. So I'm a truck guy, and if you're gonna haul trash,
is this for a builder or a sub though?
This is for a owner builder probably wanting to find out if they should get a truck. Is cool, but not nearly as practical. I don't know if a van's
I would
practical.
still get a truck
Because you can haul stuff.
because you can haul stuff, and you could haul a trailer, and that's a lot more practical as being a builder.
Yeah, you
But
can't haul much trailer.
They're saying he's
Yeah,
like,
a cargo van tows too. It's hard to back stuff up on. It's really hard to back. You don't have visibility. And if you do a truck, you can have a kind of a camper shell, and you can still have all the things protected. I'm just a truck guy. I've never been. I know painters like vans because they have a ton of paint rolling around and things are exposed to the elements, and it's kind of nice to keep things covered. But I would just, if you're really, really worried about it, get a beater truck if you want, and get a trailer to haul if you want things covered and protected, or just get a camper shell. But I've never been a fan of fans, so it's just me. You, Kinsey, any thoughts on that?
Oh, sorry. We're reading this.
We're reading our good friend's comments. We didn't know who it was,
But we like his name.
but we like his name, and he's asking about framing questions.
This is Steve. We know Steve Jolly. So he's building a very large home, very custom, beautiful home in Southwest Utah.
Well, how long?
We've done.
Tell him how long it's
What's that?
going to take to frame that house, Dad.
That is going to take minimum 2 months, month and a half to 2 months. If the crew is larger, it can be shorter. Okay, but I don't know how large the crew is that he hired. So we'll see.
That was better.
Brady.
We actually need that floor plan so we could answer it.
Yeah, we should open up the floor plans. It's a 20,000 square foot home. It's going to be a beautiful home. Okay, next question. What is your preferred deck framing material for home and mountains? Around 1,000 square feet of deck, snow on the deck 5 months of the year, best bang for a buck. Treated sucks. I usually go redwood. Neither of those. Okay. Even though the snow is only 5 months of the year, I don't like water working its way through the deck. Now, there's a lot of new technologies to make sure that water doesn't sit between wood and wood, which is why they have that now. It's black sealant. You can put on the floor joists, but it's still going to get below. It's still going to be muddy and mucky. I like a solid membrane, and there's a lot of great products out there. We're going to be doing a video. I hope I see a client, not a client, but a contractor next Thursday, and we're going to be talking about a full pebble applied looking deck on a property. I'll just put it that much. We're going to be talking to him about that. If it works out, we'll move away from roll-on products that I've been using, which are good, all right, to something a little more appealing and better looking, to be honest with you, and a little more fire retardant. So we're going to be talking a lot about that in the coming weeks and months on some videos. So stay tuned. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do that down below. Okay. But I like full membrane applied. And that means 3/4 inch tongue and groove subfloor on the outside. There are some subfloors you can put in that are treated. They can handle a little bit of moisture, and some that can't. So make sure you double check that. Okay. Okay, Hannah Banana. Yes, Peyton and I are highly impressed with your program. Highly recommend. Here's my question. How do you know sewer available at grade level, or do you need an injector or grinder lift? You can talk to some plumbers, really good ones, and probably a bigger name in your particular area, and ask them to do a depth analysis on your sewer. And what they do is they stick a kind of a radar detector in the sewer, and then they go out and they find it where it's at, and they say, oh, it's 8 feet here, 8.5 feet here, 9 feet there, and they can actually see the drop of the sewer as it's moving away from the home, if that's city sewer. If it's septic, it's the same thing. They'll see where it's dropping until how deep the septic tank is. We've got a home I'm building just down the street from me, and we were really, really close on adjusting the home elevation based upon where the septic is. And I didn't want to tear out the septic, which has a health department fee, which is nasty because you're taking out something that's got human waste in it. We wanted to use the existing system with the same number of bedrooms, and we had to make sure that elevation was just right because we didn't want an injector system. Okay. So talk with the plumber and tell him, ask him, where's the elevation of our sewer along the full length of that sewer pipe until it enters into the city system, if you're on a city system. And that's going to tell you where your elevation of the home has to be if you're building a home. Get that information. It's going to be vital. I did one on my home in downtown St. George, and I was floored to find out that the sewer system was 12.5 feet down. Luckily, I was able to dig down that deep. But when I built an addition to the far back, I calculated it. I need a little about a 1/4 inch per foot for proper drainage. I had exactly the right amount. If my son's garage was another a foot back, I would not have had the flow that I needed. So make sure you measure that out and figure it out and talk with a plumber to make sure that you have the proper flow from the home to where it needs to enter into the sewer system. Avoid those injectors at all costs. I did a home up in the mountains up north, and he bought the property thinking everything was great. Lo and behold, it was the property nobody else wanted because he didn't do any investigation on it, and he had to put an injector system in it. So, and that cost him quite a bit of money. And so, and the injectors they grind everything up and they push it through a pipe about that big. And then it's not a big pipe, it's actually a small pipe. And they push it through that until it goes into a larger sewer pipe, which could be 3 or 4 inches long before it gets into something larger. They're not fun to have. And so if you don't have electricity, guess what happens? You have no sewer. So I try to avoid those sites that are not going to pose that problem at all. Okay. Walkout basements are notorious for that problem, by the way. Al Colosso, an HVAC contractor asked ream or train system. Which should I choose? 1,500 square feet. Ranch will be a rental in Georgia. Okay. They're both good products. I'm familiar with Ream. They have a lot of good tankless water systems. So they're very, very efficient. You might want to find out if it's electric or gas and which one is going to be the best for the power that you're going to use. And I don't know which one you're going to use. Probably more than likely it's electric, but I know about out in that area, electric is pretty pricey. So go and find out if you have natural gas and that can do the trick, or if it's electric. I would ask with some HVAC contractors in the area and get some feedback, and then do some research online with the two products. But believe it or not, a lot of them are there's just a few manufacturers, and a lot of those manufacturers white label them out to other sub manufacturers who say, we are the premier manufacturer, but it's the same product. Okay. So that's the case with a lot of HVAC systems. There's a few manufacturers, but they white label them to different companies. So do some research there. Okay. Retrainer. Okay. Thank you all for the great advice. Appreciate all your wisdom. Thank you. That's nice of you to say. We appreciate that.
And that's it for questions.
Did you have anything else, Kenzie, you want to bring up?
Oh, nope. I can't think of anything.
How do you? I want to bring something up because it's really special to you. Okay, my daughter and I know of another woman who's in the industry, kind of a GC, that kind of stuff. But when she goes on a job site, she thinks she has to be tough and hard-nosed and just kind of a meanie to subcontractors. You're not that way, right?
No.
How do you treat people when you go on a job site, and why do they treat you better?
I treat them actually like my brothers, but before, you might take that in a wrong way, but I really love my brothers, so I treat them very well. Let me clarify that. Okay. But honestly, a lot of our subs are like really good friends of mine, and I love talking with them. And just kindness goes a long way. It just goes back to like your values. How would you want to be treated? And I want to be treated with enthusiasm and joy. And if I mess up, I wouldn't want someone to just yell down my throat. I'd want them to be like, hey, let's figure it out. And a lot of construction, I tell people all the time, a lot of being a general contractor is just problem solving sometimes all day. And you really have to have a good attitude about it. Otherwise, it's going to get you down and you're just going to be miserable every day. So that's my philosophy. That's how I go about it. And I'd say it's worked for me because, yes, all of our subs, I have a pretty good relationship with all of them. And I love being around them. Like, I get excited to go to the job site because I get to hang out with my friends pretty much. And we catch up with each other while they're working, and it's fun. So yeah.
Yeah, it's my daughter and I, since my daughter's come on, things have changed a lot with our company. I started a little over 20 years ago, close to 20 years ago, and I picked up a couple of subs at that time, actually helped them on their feet get going. Over the years, it was kind of an automatic that they would get work, and they treated it like that. And so I found that that they haven't been my best friend. They haven't been a good friend to me. They haven't helped me out. And I have one that I just recently hired. Because I'm a nice, easygoing guy, I got the shaft on a couple of things. My schedule got bumped, or he would start my job and then would leave, go do something else because there's somebody else that's a squeaky wheel. And I do very nice bills, and I pay well, and I'm very straightforward and transparent. And so I'm of the opinion now in my life that it's not automatic. You need to earn it every single time. And so when you have that kind of discipline in yourself, and I'm learning to get that inside my life, that they know that they have to win the bid every single time, then you keep that business relationship business, but you can still, like my daughter was mentioning, you can still have that filial relationship on site when you meet them and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So always mention that you're competitive and that you're transparent. You want the best, but you also want a fair deal. So keep your values up front. Keep how you operate your own build up front, and make that always as clear as you possibly can. And it's going to win you a lot of rewards down the road. Okay. Good question. Anything else here?
Nope. Thanks for letting me talk, Dad. That was fun.
No. My daughter is so smart. She has taken up the back end of my job, and I don't know what's happening sometimes because I'm still a field guy. And so it's been really, really fun. I said, here's the back end, Kinsey, it's yours. And anything you want to do that's creative, that you want to make our systems better, do it. And then she allows me. I threw her something this past week. I wanted to implement something that I created for my students. I actually wanted to implement it in my own business in our specifications for bidding file. And it's going smoothly. We're using that as not a crutch, but a thing, as a master document that keeps us all on the same page. And we're going to perfect that and perfect it. And as we do, we move it out onto the platform for the students so that they can use that. So we're constantly trying to make things better and bigger. So you know, anybody that needs a build in Southwest Utah and a mountain build and down the St. George area, we can do it for you. Right, Kens?
Right. Yep.
Okay. That's it. We'll see you guys next Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Again, see us at howtobuildyourownhome.com. It's the best online program built by tons of experience and built by a former educator who understands curriculum design and flow in teaching and helping people understand how things work. So it's got those two worlds put together, and it's really exciting to do. We've had over 10,000 students in the program, believe it or not, using one of our courses or all of them. So it's very efficient and always getting better, and we're excited to help a lot of people. So again, howtobuildyourownhome.com is there, and we'll see you guys next Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Bye.